I'll just start off just by saying it's an exciting time. Very appreciative of the Colts organization, very appreciative of my time with both Frank and Chris. Tremendous meetings, learning more and more about the organization. Tremendous relationship with Philip Rivers in my time with the Chargers. And, he also gave me some insight of the short time that he was here. And but the overall process, how it was handled, the interview process, gave me a very good idea what the whole organization was like, and just feel very grateful for the opportunity.
The other times you've been a coordinator, you've taken over a defense that was statistically not very good. It seems to be different here. Is it different? Is it a different approach?
That's what my wife said. No, it is. You know what? I mean, there's some traits. I mean, you're always looking for leadership at each position group, and when you look, every year is different. Just because you made the Pro Bowl this year doesn't mean that you'll make it next year. But the truth of the matter is, there's a Pro Bowl player at every position group. The D-line, the linebackers, and the DBs. And when you have that, I mean, it takes a skill set and a presence and hard work and a mentality to reach that level. And to have that at each position group is unique to walk into a situation like that. And I know there's more leaders than just those three, but to know that and to have an idea of what it looks like to put it together like that is a good sign. And Matt Eberflus and I have a relationship for many years, and we met together, talked defense together, and I know what he's instilled into this defense, and has done a great job, a very good job. So our hope is to add to what he's already built, in this time that he was here, and his staff.
Gus, when you think about all your experience in the league, different stops, do you like the idea of marrying your players to a certain scheme that you feel works, or do you like the idea of marrying your scheme to what the new players do well?
Right. I think there's a little bit of both. I think that listen, in this league you have to be able to adjust. I think that to quickly recover, to adjust is important. But you have to have a foundation in what you stand for, and the players need to be able to feel that. So, I think that there's a foundation that we'll bring in, what's important to us, what has allowed the groups that we've been a part of to have some success. But the first thing we're going to do is put in, take a look at our tape, take a look at the tape and put one-on-one tapes, and just take a look at each player and what the coaches believe their skill set is, what they bring to the table. And I think sometimes players are hoping for a blank slate. I hope they, I'm not sure they want me to talk to every coach that was here and formulate an opinion. I think they would say, I'm hoping that we have a blank slate, and Gus, you evaluate, the coaches evaluate, and then let's go. And that's what we're going to give them. I think we can give them that part of it. But we do need to evaluate. It's important to see their skill set so that we can incorporate things within our system that best utilizes their skill set.
When you sit here and the offseason is just getting started, it's going to be a long offseason. As you looked at what this defense has currently on the roster, where do you look at and say, okay, we need to improve in this area? I mean, obviously they're second in the league in takeaways last season, but when you look and say, okay, man, we need to improve here, X, Y, or Z.
Right. Well, to be honest with you, I think I can give you a better idea after we sit down and kind of go through it and evaluate things. I think generally just play more consistently. That's what every defense is looking for, consistently. The ability, there's different categories that we look at. We break it down. We call it the Sweet Six. It's stop the run, eliminate explosives, affect the quarterback, win on third down, own the red zone. It's all about the ball. So we'll kind of look at each one of those categories and just see where we rank on that, and then decide on the areas of improvement and how we can attack each area. So we'll have a better evaluation of that, a clearer picture once we kind of go through the tape.
When it comes to your system, I think what people remember most is the days in Seattle, the Legion of Boom. So I'm curious, how much of those principles have you carried through the stops since,
Right.
and how has it evolved?
Well, I think there's, I'm sure if you probably ask teams or people, they'd say, it's cover three. That's what they do. But, and there are some of the principles there, but it has evolved. Each team runs a split safety. Each team plays man. Each team plays a single high. And how you go about playing those, that's where it varies a little bit. And that's what we've evolved to. I think that, before it was more of a, all right, landmark, ball out, break, let's play it. But it's now evolved to where it's a more match, a match principle based on, some pre-snap and post-snap indicators. So I think it went from, back in the day of the initial beginning stages of the Seattle 3 or Hawk 3 to where now it's evolved. You're always trying to stay a year ahead. And the only way you can do that is, incorporate some different things and different ideas. But actually it helps us if people say, oh, they're just running cover 3. That's, in a way, that's what we want people to say. So we can kind of break down to know how they're going to attack us then. And then we have some curveballs, some change-ups that we look at. So it's exciting, but it's going to evolve. It evolved last year, and it will evolve this year based on some of the personnel we have and to utilize their skill set. But there is a foundation that you start from.
Why do you think it's shifted from the landmark to more of a match over the years?
Well, because I think initially it was new. And so people were like, well, how do we attack it? To where now people have certain ways they attack it. And so, and that's why you stay ahead of it and say, all right, let's figure this thing out, let's evolve and change some of it. So it is evolved to that. I would say the people that know it and look at it. I know it was great for me, right, to be at the Raiders with John Gruden. Because here's an offensive mindset that's really trying to attack you in practice. And he was like, wow, Gus, from where it was in the beginning to where it is now, it has evolved. And, when you see it every day, So, that was a good experience for our system to be with John Gruden.
So, Gus, now that you're here with these players, will it evolve more based on your personnel?
Well, that's why, again, you try to utilize their skill set and stay ahead of the game. And, there's been some good things. It's not, I think, when you look at games and, it's eliminate explosive plays, but I think we got to, the emphasis of getting the ball is so important and affecting the quarterback. And sometimes affecting the quarterback, people just put the stat to how many sacks, but it's more than that. It's getting him off the spot. It's can you make the quarterback hitch? Where there's some indecision to where you can allow the rush to get there. So there's a lot that goes into affecting the quarterback, but it's a big part now of playing good defense. You have to be able to affect the quarterback.
To expand on that point, I don't think you're a big blitz guy. How do you sort of increase that intensity on the quarterback without, bringing a lot?
I think it really, a big blitz guy, it depends, right? If you have to bring pressure to affect the quarterback or to stimulate the defense and make plays, that's good. Last year we were in position that we could affect it with a young secondary or inexperienced secondary. So some of that was just getting a feel. Can we affect him? Can we make him hitch and put the pressure on your best players? And so each year it's different. But, I'm not opposed to it now. If we need to. There's some games where you look in the past that, we blitzed 20, 25 times in a game, and that's because we felt like we needed to. So it's not a philosophy. It's more what do we need to do to affect the quarterback, and how can we make big plays? And how can we, really you're defined as a defense by your ability to get the ball and score. I know some players will say in the past, Gus, how do you know when we've arrived in this defense? And I think overall it's when the defense dictates the outcome of the game. That if you look at past defenses, right, the ones that are really talented, really good, they have some say in how the outcome of the game is. And, that's what we're trying to do, is build a defense with that mentality.
One guy I think have stayed close with is Phillip Rivers from your time in San Diego together. One, how was, what did you learn from him? One of the smarter quarterbacks we've had in a long time. And then what did you learn about this organization from him in the last couple of weeks?
Okay, good. After Jacksonville, there was a couple opportunities to look at. But I think it was, Anthony Lynn, I had a great relationship with him, but also to go and be with a quarterback of that level and to go against that every day. You talk about how does the defense evolve when you go against a guy like Phillip Rivers and he's willing to share and say, hey, Gus, I could tell based on this or that, or all right, let's tweak it. And, okay, that's pretty good now. That's pretty good how it's going. I think when you go against very talented guys every day like that, it evolves. So that part, first and foremost. Now, the relationship, I can just speak in my terms. There's only so many people that you develop really, really close relationships. It is a relationship business, but I mean, he ranks right up there for me and for our family. It's I think the world of him. We talk very, very often, and even though we weren't together, there's just a very close relationship, and he means a lot to me. Now, as far as this organization, once he found out that I was interviewing here, it wasn't, well, I'm going to get involved in this. I think he did maybe the opposite. But he just said, hey, Gus, are you considering it, and where are you at? And he said, I'm just going to tell you what I think of the organization. And I can tell you it wasn't 5 seconds. You know, it was a long, talk about, first of all, Frank and Chris and the Ursays and the ownership here and the community and the training room and the equipment room and the locker room and the people, and it just kept going on and on. And it was like, I mean, it can't be this good, can it? You know, it's one of those type things. But and that was during some COVID. You know, it wasn't like when everybody was together. So, you surely felt that it was a pretty special place based on him and then just through the interview process.
You had several coaches who went with you from the Chargers to the Raiders. Are any of them coming with you?
We're putting that together now, talking to some. So, once we get it all put together and finalized, but that's where we're putting a lot of our efforts in now is, putting together the staff.
What would you say to fans? What should they expect from your defense next year?
Well, if you said style, a defense that plays with great effort, I think, Matt, because, again, we've talked, and so there's probably some similarities now. Like we basis effort-based defense. A team that plays with, a great effort. So great effort, great enthusiasm. I think enthusiasm is important on the field. Great energy. And you talk about, Gus, do you blitz? Well, if our energy's not where it needs to be, bringing pressure will increase that enthusiasm. It can stimulate a defense. So, a defense, great effort, great enthusiasm, great toughness, mentally and physically tough, a team that communicates. And then the final thing is a defense unit that plays smart, makes good decisions. I think that at that style of play. Now, when we're talking to players, it's fast, physical, and ball out. It's not complicated. It's not complicated. And everything that we do, every call that we design is really designed to get the ball. Really, Gus, over cover three, that too. Everything is designed to get the ball. And, and we won't put so much in that eliminates our ability to play fast. Now, obviously, you've got to have, a ready list where you have some options and things like that. But the general philosophy is nothing's going to jeopardize our ability to play fast, physical, and get the ball out.
As you're going through this process, Gus, I'm sure other teams probably had interest in you. From a personnel standpoint on this roster, you've talked a lot about taking the ball away. I mean, there's probably no guy who loves it more than Darius Leonard in this league. How much stock did you put into, okay, they have this on the roster as far as guys that love taking the ball away and, Pro Bowl caliber players?
Right. Well, it's big, right? I mean, you look at the personnel to study it in depth. I cannot say I've done that yet, but you know enough about players in the league. You generally have a pretty good idea what they've done, how they've accomplished, and this year. And then we played them, so you get a chance to see them when I was at the Raiders. So, yes, there is a unique skill set that way to get the ball out. And it's so important, right? I mean, every offensive coordinator loves that part of it. They want as many possessions as possible. So, whether it's a 3 and out, make it quick, right? Make it quick. 3 and out or get the ball in a series. But, setting up field position, like we said, set up the offense with the ability to get a quick score is important. So there is definitely that mindset. And I don't think it's only with the players, But in the interview process with Chris Ballard, and it came through Frank as well, that, the takeaways is a big part of it.
You guys, you talked about, playing fast and that kind of thing, but specifically you guys on this roster do have a lot of defensive speed. Do you feel like your scheme can help accentuate that?
Yeah, and when we talked about, I think that, but it is surely built on speed, just in the conversations. Teams now are using the whole width of the field, and you have to be able to have speed on the field. Guys that, and play speed is very important. So it's evolving that, because the teams that are doing well are using the width of the field. You got to be able to, cover the width of the field, and a big skill set for that is speed. So, I think that's, it feels like it's a non-negotiable. Like they want to build this team with speed.
This defense is talked about the last couple of years is becoming like truly elite, one of the dominant top 5 units, and they haven't quite done that. When you look at this team, and I know you haven't looked at it in detail yet, but what are those kind of last few steps you think it's maybe holding them back?
Well, I mean, we have a better idea, right, going through it. Anytime you put in a new scheme, and there's going to be a learning curve, right? It's okay. There's a few different things, but you hope that maybe there's not much of a drop-off. I'm talking about OTAs and when you're putting it in training camp. But your hope, once they get it, they kind of take off. That's what's happened in the past. Somewhere in the season, I know last year with the Raiders, some of the players said, "Hey, Gus, it's starting to click. It's starting to come together." Well, it's different wherever you're at. But in this team now, there's some skill, so that's why I say I think every team is different. But the idea, that's everybody, right? You want to dictate the outcome of a game, and that's what those defenses do. So that's what we're striving for, where we're at on the pendulum or, on the scale. We'll see, you know how it is. It's going to be very process-driven, right? Every day we get better. But I think it is important that that big picture of what it looks like is out there for them. That's the players want to know where we're going. They're good with working every day and improvement, but why are we doing this? Well, here's what we're shooting for. So hopefully the illustration I gave earlier, gives them a place.
Does the Leo still have such an important role in the pass rush for you guys, that Leo spot?
Well, the Leo opens up a look at different personnel. I think sometimes in a 4-3 scheme, they're really those, the outside linebacker types. There was, back in the day, there was really no place for them. There was the left end and the right end, and they were both 275 pounds, and that's how you played. Where a Leo is, all it does is open it up to where the scouting department can now look at outside linebackers. Someone that's 6'3", 250 pounds has a place in our defense now, where I think 10 years ago, 12 years ago, it may not have. So it's just to say, you can never have enough pass rushers. And I think the Leo position opens up the board now to where, for the scouting department, they can say, hey, there is a place for this guy, like a Chris Clemens or a Yannick Ngakoue. Those guys are more Leo types, that have played, and there's a place for them in our defensive scheme.
One thing to go off of that, through the last couple of years, Flus and Chris Ballard both said that the 3-technique Buckner drives the engine.
Yeah.
And they put, to get him here, they invested a lot. Is it different in your scheme? Or
No, I know. No, to have a 3-technique like that, that's pretty good. A foundation right there. I remember, we've watched him, and in San Francisco, because it's a similar scheme now. Similar scheme, San Francisco, and there's a lot of Robert Saleh, who was the defensive coordinator there, was a quality control coach for us in Seattle. So there's some similarities. So that's where I think with Buck, he's looking at it and going, okay, hopefully he has a pretty good idea how he'll be utilized. But he's a very talented player, and you feel very grateful when you have a guy like that on the unit.